after the end of the onboarding, they knew that this is something that is needed and it's required to enter the new market.
And have you ever had such situation that clients, I don't know, say, "Oh, I don't want to work with you, you are strange"?
No, it never happened.
Hi, my name is Ewelina. Together with Szymon, we work in architecture of sales. What do we do in architecture of sales? We help foreign companies enter the Polish market. And that's the topic of today's conversation. Szymon, let's talk about you and your role in architecture of sales.
So, hello, my name is Szymon Dąbrowski. I work as a sales development representative in architecture of sales and also as a business development manager. I'm serving as an SDR for our customers, and also working as a business development manager. I'm looking for a new customers for our company. So basically, that's what I'm doing.
Could you explain how you work with client? When a client come to you, what's the first thing you do?
So the first thing I do after onboarding is what we call the Miro. So I'm piecing together the puzzles from everything the client share with us in onboarding. So we have many questions that we are asking there, and we have many answers. After that, I break into value proposition, the ideal customer profile and their pain points, what's hurting those buying personas, what's blocking them. Then I ask myself, which of these value proposition actually heals those pain points? Next, I look at the competition. If it's crowded, and in the Polish market it often is, I search for unique selling points. Sometimes that makes the client's product stand out. Simple example, a foreign invoicing software enters the Polish market. There are already 10 similar products there. But this client has one unique feature that solves a very specific problem for CFOs in manufacturing companies. That's what we are looking for, that one point of differentiation. The onboarding and Miro process itself takes 1 or 2 days, but finding those unique selling points, well, sometimes it takes months. Clients often aren't aware of them, or they are simply never thought about their product that way. And what do you think about it?
Well, I think it's a long process to understand the client's product. And if we need to sell it in the Polish market, we need to understand the client's perspective and, of course, the Polish client's perspective also, because when you come into totally new market, first you have to notice what is important here, how clients looking for new products in such industry, how they work, and this is what we do, what I do when I work with clients. So I'm the first touch between clients and our foreign company which we help. You talk about Miro, about onboarding. From your perspective, Szymon, how long does it take to fully understand the project?
Getting into a project well enough to advise to our customer, that usually takes around 6 months. Lead generation we can kick off almost immediately, but understanding why something isn't working in the Polish market, why a product that sells well abroad hits resistance here. That takes time, and it takes conversation, data, trial, errors. After those 6 months, I can say to the customer, I know what's not working here and I know what to change. What is your opinion on that?
I think we shouldn't put everything into the same basket, and every industry, every product, every client is different. So, yes, it can take about 6 months, but on the other hand, there are some products which need much more time or sometimes less. But come back to the onboarding, because I think it's very important. Do you follow the same approach every time, or does it depend on the project?
Well, it depends on the project. My consistent starting point is working with AI agents like Claude or ChatGPT. So they help me build the initial cold call script tailored to the right ICP and right buying persona before I even make the first call. But that's just the beginning. After a few dozen conversations, the script starts to evolve. I rewrite it. I change the order of arguments, test different openers. It's a living document, not a template. Of course, the first calls often fall flat before we find a message that genuinely opens people up to the product. You have to go through that phase. On my 11th project here at Architecture of Sales, I've learned to accept it. It's part of the process, not a failure.
11 projects. Oh, sounds like a lot of great work. And do you have the favorite one?
Well, actually, I have a favorite one project. My favorite project is Estonian startup that is doing electronic signing. It was my favorite project. I really enjoyed it.
You talk about buyer persona. Is it always one buyer persona? Looking across my project, I see that buyer persona on paper and in real life is totally two different things. How to define the right one?
Countries in the European Union, despite appearing similar, often differ significantly in who is actually interested in a given product. That's why we run meetings with different buyer personas to find out who the product resonates with the best. I have concrete example. A client was convinced their target persona was the CEO. We quickly discovered that the CEO doesn't use the software day to day. Their employees do. The CEO might be interested from a cost-saving angle, but it was the employee who actually used the tool and who had the decisive voice in the purchase. Rotating through buyer personas is a very common scenario in our work. We keep doing it until we have verified who responds the best, and then we focus all our energy on that person.
And how did you know that this is the right one?
You just need to look to the pipeline. If you have done 20 meetings with the CEOs and you're still standing still, no next steps, no real interest, that's a clear signal that probably this persona is not the right persona. But if you do 20 more meetings with directors of development and suddenly things start moving, there is a request for a follow-up. They want to bring someone else from their company to the meeting, maybe somebody from another department. More people start getting involved. That's the moment. That's the signal you are heading to the right decision maker. The pipeline doesn't lie. The numbers speak for themselves. And what do you think about it, Ewelina?
Well, you talk about numbers, and I remember that situation when I get a lot of activities, real engagement from my side, and at the end, I heard no sales at all. Have you hit that wall too?
Yes, of course, Ewelina. I've been in the same place many times. And I can tell you that if that would never happen, our work wouldn't be needed. Every salesperson in the world has to get used to rejection. It's a natural part of this job. In classic sales, you get a dopamine hit with every transaction. What we do works differently. We help companies from other countries enter the Polish market, reach the right people with the right message. The stakes are high. You are launching a market in G20 country. It's a process. You do 10 meetings, analyze them with the customer, draw conclusions, adjust the parameters, refine the pitch, and try again. Like a loop. Clients usually understand the nature of entering to the foreign market, but if you don't learn from our failures, there is a little chance we will succeed. I have a client from Latvia who spent many months bouncing off doors with me. Nobody wanted their solution, not even for free. Today, a year later, 6 of the clients we have reached back then, they are right now paying customers. You can't give up. You have to analyze the data, adapt the product and the pitch. Try new things. It won't happen on its own.
Szymon, how do you approach a new project? Where you start? Phone, email, LinkedIn, something else?
The good old phone rarely lets me down. In Poland, calls works the best. When you send an email, you rarely anyone's priority right now. You land in the inbox queue behind dozens of other messages. When you call, you have their attention right here, right now. LinkedIn and email are my second option when I simply can't reach someone by phone, but I always start with the receiver. And Ewelina, how are you approaching that things?
I think you're right, and really cold call emails is the normal thing in that work. But what I would like to add is conferences, because I love conferences. It's the best option to meet face to face with your client, to get feedback from that. You can understand the clients and how they perceived your product. So when I have an opportunity to go to a conference, it's not only a place for generating leads, but also to understand the market. Have you ever been in such conferences, or you are going to?
Yes, I am going to InfoShare next month with my boss and CEO Dominik Vantuch. But if it goes about conferences, you are the best person in our company, because you are always not in our office, because you are always into some conferences. So I can agree that for you this might be a really powerful tool.
Data showed that 64 of outbound calls go unanswered. Statistically, you call 3 times to get 1 conversation. How does that reality affect how you plan your day and manage your activity volume?
For me, the phone is just a means to an end. The real goal is online meetings. That's where actual sales happen. Sometimes you make 200 calls and don't book a single meeting. Other times you call 5 people in a row and book 5 meetings. Yeah? Volume alone guarantees nothing. That's why when I really work on the message, I often don't need to call that much. What matters more is what I do before the call. So verifying the leads, personalizing the approach, understanding that their specific problems, that often delivers better results than 200 cold calls made without preparation. The quality of a conversation starts before you pick up the phone. And what do you think about it?
Volume is just number, in my opinion. I think that the clue is to understand what you are talking about. So truly understand the product is the key of success. Sometimes I need 10 phones to book 5 meetings, but of course, sometimes I need to call for all day to understand the client's objection, to understand the market. And after such a day, I got the feeling that I understand what's going on, and next day I can book new meetings. After cold call, the conversations sometimes are very short, people don't have time, and what do you do next after such conversations?
It depends on the situation. If someone clearly had a bad day, I give them space. Instead of trying again, I look for another buying person in the same company and try to reach the topic through them. A lot also depends on the size of the market. You work differently when you have thousands of potential companies in front of you versus 30 leads. With 30 leads, every call is precious. I'll think it through carefully before dialing a second time. On the other hand, after 3 months, very few people remember us. So you can usually go back. Maybe the timing was just wrong, and now it will be better. And what is your approach?
I agree with you. I have also a project where the market is limited, and I need to be prepared before the call. And of course, sometimes when client had bad day, I just say, don't worry, and call again after 3 months, as you said. But tell me more about the leads. How do you know when a lead is really hot?
So very often you know that in the first call. If you ask someone about their problems and they say, yes, this is a massive issue, it's costing us time and money, then I already know this is going to be a good lead. But there is also a second scenario. You only find out on the meeting itself. The client comes to the meeting. He's closed. He doesn't want to say too much, and the conversation seems to be going nowhere. Then you need to open him up, or them open them up with the right questions, and it turns out to be one of your best meetings. Yeah, people are different. Some will share their challenges early on the first contact. Others want to talk. Then you have to take an individual approach. Convince them that you are there to help, not to sell, because that's what this work is really about.
What about onboarding, Szymon? Could you explain how long does it take and how it exactly look like?
Well, if it goes about onboarding, it takes from 6 to 8 hours with our customer. Normally it's 2 or 3 meetings. On the first meeting, if it's a product, if it's a SaaS, our customer is presenting his demo to us. We are seeing it. We are writing our questions. And on the second meeting, we are coming prepared with hundreds of questions that we need to ask. Those questions are about the value proposition. They are about the ideal customer profile, about the pain points, about the buying personas, and unique selling points. And this is the workshop where we are trying to understand who will be the most interested in that product. And also it happens really often that the customers are understanding the things that they didn't understood before coming to that meeting. Because normally no one is asking you 5 times the same question about your value proposition. And sometimes we have kind of founders or of someone from a C-level in those companies kind of idea that, okay, we never thought about it, yeah? So this is the moment when also our customers are discovering the things that they didn't know about their product. And on the third one, we are connecting the dots. We are summarizing everything. And after that, the SDRs, me or you, we are dividing it into the Miro, to the puzzles, like I said, and then we are trying to create something from it. Yeah. So that's briefly how the onboarding works.
And you said that you have to ask the same question in a different way few times. And how the client reacts to that? Are they frustrated?
There were situations that our customers were frustrated because they didn't understood the purpose of those questions, but after the end of the onboarding, they knew that this is something that is needed and it's required to enter the new market.
And have you ever had such situation that clients, I don't know, say, oh, I don't want to work with you, you are strange, after such onboarding?
No, it never happened.
According to the entering the Polish market, how many meetings must be delivered to start?
It depends on the product. If you already you are 100% sure that your ICP and your buying personas are correct, then probably from 4 to 6 meetings per month would be appropriate. But if you need to validate the market and you have greater resources, of course, changing the volume of the meetings will make it happen. But this is the process. You need to connect prospecting and finding the new customers with a validation process. So each week you need to come to the weekly. We need to discuss what happened, what those customers are saying on the meetings, what they feel about your product. And we need to connect those two paths to make you successful in the Polish market.
So you meet with clients not only on the onboarding, but weekly. So once a week, you get a call and talk with clients about what?
Yeah, so it is required that our customers or somebody from their companies is entering the weekly each week, because we need to share what we are doing. Like I said, it is a process, so we cannot do it only by myself, because we have people that are staying behind this product. Maybe they are successful in the Estonia, Latvia, or Lithuania. And they have a knowledge that we don't have. So we are connecting the ideas and experience from Polish market with their ideas and their history on those markets. And because when you combine all of it, then you can have a result. Yeah? Then you know what is working, what is not working, what we should improve.
Mm-hmm. And clients are open for improving, for changing sometimes maybe?
Well, not always, and it's because this is how the B2B works. In the B2B machine, you have a lot of people that are working in those companies. So probably in some cases you have open people that are open to change something, to change the pitch on the demos, to change how you address the problems and your value proposition. But also there are cases that's probably with enterprise products, because like I said, there you have a lot of employees and the decision-making process is pretty long, and it's pretty rarely that they are eager to change something. Yeah.
Let's switch into architecture of sales offer. We offer 3 types of corporation. Could you explain how it works and what are the differences?
Well, so it depends on your need. If you have a sales team in Poland or maybe abroad in your country, then probably you would be seeking the standard lead generation. So we are generating leads, we are qualifying the leads, we are looking for the ICP, for the buying personas, the pain points. After qualifying, we are outreaching them by cold calls, by cold emails, or LinkedIn outreach. And our job is to schedule a call with an end customer in the your sales team calendar. And if you have a sales team but they are not speaking Polish, it might be hard to enter the Polish market only with English language. So in that case, you should go for standard lead generation with active support, because in that service we are attending all of the meetings with the end customers, and we are also doing the summaries, follow-ups, and what is the most important, also translations. And what is important is that we are the SDR is taking care that right actions will happen from the side of the end customer and also from the side of your company. If you don't have an sales team in your country and also in Poland, and you need to hire somebody in Poland to, let's say, account executive that will attend those meetings, you can think about sales outsourcing, because our team has experience with the SaaS, with the technology products, and we know how to present your product, we know how to make the demos. So in that service, we are doing everything from A to Z. Our SDR learns how to present your product. He's making the prospecting, he's scheduling the calls, he's attending those calls, presenting your demo, and he's also doing the summaries, follow-ups. and he's responsible for the closing of your customer. So that's briefly how what services we have in architecture of sales.
How about the changes? Maybe it's happened that clients decided, for example, only for lead generating, and after a few months they decided to change into whole sales process?
Yes, it's also happened pretty often. So when customer wants to launch a Poland campaign in Poland, he's starting from the standard lead generation, but after 3 months he's seeing, okay, we have this number of meetings done in Poland, but nothing came up, nothing went to the next steps. So in that cases, we have customers that decided to go to the standard lead generation with active support, or also for the sales outsourcing. So yes, it is possible, and we can adjust the offer whenever you want.
Szymon, what tools are essential in your day-to-day work?
In terms of tools, my foundation is Claude integrated with Outlook, which supports me as an assistant in a daily work. The second essential tool is Fireflies. So we record the meetings, or we are making the notes from the meetings and extract insights from them. Are we doing well? Should we change the pitch? This tool lets me analyze the conversation with the customers and generally improve over time. For prospecting, my favorite tool right now is Clay. I know that for you is also a pretty interesting tool because it aggregates the other tools in one place. So Lucia, Apollo, lots and lots of prospecting tools, and you can do within an hour actually build a cold email campaign or qualify leads for phone calls. It's a massive time saver. And what are your favorite tools?
Yes, as you notice, I really like Clay. It is the best tool to find a lot of leads in a short time. I really like AI solution. I think they can help us in everyday life, especially at work. As you said, Claude is your and also my assistant at my everyday work. What do you think about AI solution using in work? Is it safe?
I think it is safe for the people that are outreaching the other people, probably. But maybe how we are using the AI. So actually, right now with a Claude, you are able to create your own automations, your own agent that can go through Clay or go through Apollo, find the right prospects, prepare the cold email messages for them, send them, make the follow-ups. So I think it's a really powerful tool, and this is something we are also doing that in our free time, and we are working on also on those kinds of automations.
I agree with you. I think it is really useful. And if you have to give one piece of advice to foreign company thinking about entering Polish market, what would it be?
So I would say to him, act, come in and try, but work with a Polish partner, analyze your meetings, look at what's working and what is not working. Don't be afraid to change your sales style, your presentations, even if they work differently back in your home. Make the effort to understand how B2B companies buy in Poland, and then adapt your sales process to those conditions. That's the best advice I can give. And what advice you can give to potential customers, Ewelina?
From my side, I think the most important thing is not to give up the first attempt and not to assume a fixed plan or formula from the start. Every market is different, and what's the key when entering a new one is to listen to your client. Test different approaches and find the one that truly works. And the last one, what's the hardest part of this job for you?
The hardest thing for me is when we have a very small number of potential leads, say 10 companies in the entire market. When there are many, there is room for mistakes. You can test it and be wrong. When there are only a few, every conversation is worth its weight in gold. You have to think everything through carefully and approach it with really quality. So from my point of view, that's the biggest challenge. And what is your biggest challenge in our job?
I think that what I love and hate in this job is the same. The variety of project. On the one hand, it's the best part of the work because we handle all kind of sales project that's never a dull moment. As you know, you jump between projects. But at the same time, it's incredibly demanding and exhausting. For example, you finish meeting with a client about e-commerce and 1 minute later you pick up the phone and you talk about internal communication. So it needs a lot of power inside. But I think that's exactly why I love this job because, to be honest, I thrive on challenge. And Szymon, tell me, which project has tough you the most so far and why?
Probably this would be the one which connects with your passions. For me, that's the projects in IT space because I have the background from university and I simply communicate well with IT directors and CEOs in Poland. I understand their work, I speak their language, and this make enormous difference. And what about you?
To be honest, I don't have one. I have 3, which I do right now.
Before we wrap up, Ewelina, if someone watches this video and remembers just 3 things, what should it be?
I think first, the Polish market work differently. Don't assume that something what work in your country will work the same here. Understand how Polish B2B companies buy and adapt. The second, finding the right buyer persona, and don't fall in love with your first assumption. Sometimes you need to change it. Test, analyze, rotate. And the third, don't do it alone. Cooperate with local hero is the best option. Local partner who knows the market, speaks the native language, and will tell you the truth, even if it's uncomfortable.
And I add one more thing. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The best time to enter the Polish market was yesterday. The second best time is now.
Yes, exactly. So don't be afraid to try it and just try.
Yes, and if you want to talk about entering the Polish market, reach out. Link to both Ewelina and my LinkedIn are in the description. One conversation might be all it takes.
Thank you, Szymon, for a great conversation.
Thank you, Ewelina. And thank you all for watching. If you want to talk about entering the Polish market, you can find our links in the description of this video. And see you in the next one.